Hey you guys, and welcome back. So I told you I was going to come back on here and share a couple more dreams with you all. And this one that I'm going to share today is one that I believe I had before, the clock tower dream, which I spoke about on here, and also the dream about the darkness. I did that one at the end of the one about the clock tower. And so this dream, I believe I had this dream before I had those two. So in this dream, I was looking out the bedroom window, and all of a sudden I see, like, now I don't know if the bears ran up with them or if they just started running when the lions came in, but I just saw some lions just rush into the backyard. And I mean, it was almost like someone had sped up a videotape, how fast they were running. They were just running just at a rapid pace, like almost otherworldly. Like they just were just speeding into the backyard. And there were bears back there too. But like I said, I can't remember if they ran in with the lions or if they were already there and they started running when they saw the lions run. But it didn't look like they were afraid of the lions. They were just running, okay? And so when I see that, for some reason, I go and look out my bedroom door down the hall. And when I do, I see this huge bear. I think it was a black bear. But when I say huge, he was on all fours. And on all fours, he was almost as tall as me. On all fours, okay? I mean, just huge. So when I stick my head out, he's standing in front of the door, and I believe the door was closed, so he couldn't have gotten out, I don't think. But when I stuck my head out, he turned and looked up the hallway and looked at me, and then he turned to come up the hallway towards the bedroom. So I go back in and I close the door and I lock it. And so I'm just like standing there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, what am I going to do? And so right when I'm thinking that, I hear a voice that says, humble yourself before the Most High. And so I stand there for a little bit and then I think, okay, I'm gonna go out the window. I think, okay, I'm gonna go out the window. So I go and I raise the window, but then I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, but there's lions out there. So if I try to go out the window, then the lions are gonna get me. And so then I was like, and I don't know if I can say this because I know YouTube has gotten very persnickety. So I'll just say I thought to myself, okay, well, I'll just go and get my Second Amendment. Okay, if that makes sense. I think some people call it a pew pew. Okay, and so I thought, well, I'll go and get that. And so I went and got it. And when I got it, I'm holding it in my hand and it has a lock on it. And the lock already has the key in it, in the lock. And there's like a little metal ring, you know, like when you get something new and it has a set of keys, they have your two keys on a little metal ring. So one of them was already in the lock and the other one was dangling down off of the little metal ring. And so I start turning the key and it just turns and turns and turns and turns and it never unlocks. It just continues to turn. Okay. And so now fast forward probably a couple days after I had that dream, because I did, get up and pray about it and ask for, interpretation, what the dream means. And so initially I kind of had in the back of my mind that it was meaning one thing. So a few days later, I'm on my laptop and I'm looking for something because I used to belong to a lot of those like graphic sites that sell like clip art and different little graphics and things like that people use for design, like design elements. And so I was looking for something on my laptop and I ran across a video that I didn't even know that I had saved. And this video, it probably, I don't know, probably maybe about 9 years ago is when the video was done or whatever. And I had seen the video before, but I just liked it because the brother that did it, he just did it in such an entertaining way that it just always just cracked me up. Even though it was informative, it just always cracked me up the way he did the video. And it was actually a video on the 144,000. He was doing a lesson on that. And so at the end of the video, he said that the day of the Lord is going to be like I think the way he said is, if you flee, it'll be like you fleeing from a bear and running into a lion. And so initially when he said that, I didn't quite understand him. I just heard bear and lion. And so I rewound it and listened to that, and I was like, oh, that's what the dream was conveying to me. And so then, and I didn't even go back and read the scripture until I got ready to do this video. And so when I went and read the scripture, then that kind of tied into also the dream that I had after then concerning the darkness, that the dream that I had about the darkness. And so I went through and I read the entire chapter that pertain to that particular scripture. And it's really interesting because I can see a lot of key things in there from or for the descendants of Jacob, or people who refer to themselves as Hebrew Israelites. Okay. So I may do a video about that a little bit later on, but I wanted to read to you the scripture that talks about the day of the Lord and the bear and the lion. And so this is from Amos chapter 5, starting at verse 18 and going to verse 20. It says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord! To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it?" And so in my dream about the darkness, that's what I said in that video that I did concerning it, that in my spirit the next day when I was trying to understand what it was that was going on, what was happening, and why things played out like that, in my spirit I heard that the darkness was so dark that it actually ate the light. You know, like you're eating something. It said that the darkness ate the light. It was so dark. And so that's the message. You know, I was in this room pretty much surrounded, and I was told what to do. You know, humble yourself before the Most High. But I was there trying to, figure out a plan, trying to jump out the window, going to grab my pew. And so that's really what the message was that when all these things begin to break out and happen, your only recourse is going to be under the protection of the Most High. It reminds me of the scriptures that talks about going into your chambers and closing the door and hiding yourself until the indignation passed. So that was the message of that dream. And that kind of goes back to the video that I did talking about people who are having conversations about fleeing or not fleeing, right? Because it's people who are trying to, in their own strength, figure out a way to get around what's coming. And what's coming is not just going to be in one place. Like, I'm not saying that other places are going to get it as bad as this place is, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be extremely bad situations. And so if you have not humbled yourself before the Most High, if you are not under his protection, it really doesn't matter where you go. You can flee as far as you can possibly think to go. It's not going to help you. And that also goes back to what I was talking about concerning verifying everything with the Most High before you make a move, because you have a lot of voices out here, and you don't know who is influencing those voices that you're listening to. So you always need to run everything by the Most High and get his confirmation and get his approval before you make any move, because you may be moving from the frying pan to the fire. And those same voices that influenced you to make those moves, you can't pick up the phone and call them and get help. So it's always best to get approval and confirmation from the Most High before you make any move. And so not only just some key messages for the house of Israel or descendants of Jacob, but also for like the nations, because when you read some of this stuff, it seems like, and it looks like some of the things that are happening right now just in general among the nations. Also, the dream that I had concerning the clock tower, when I started to do some research, I realized that the tower or the clock in the UK known as Big Ben. At one point in time, they used to refer to that as the clock tower. And I thought the clock tower was just a generic term for like a tower with the face of a clock on it. That's what first came to mind when I saw that in my dream. And so it was like I put the video out, I think it was around maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, or 2 or 3. It was early in the morning when I uploaded the video. And then the next day is when the news broke that King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. Also, I had found out, I think it had happened before, but Kate, William's wife, had been in the hospital for something. And I believe that she had been in the hospital weeks ago or something like that, or she had been in the hospital for something. I'm not exactly sure. So I don't know if that dream had something to do with that or if it was something more global. I'm not sure, but I did say that if I found out any additional information that I would come back on here and let y'all know. But I think that's going to be it for this video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I will be so happy to have you. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.